Radio team member Jesse Robinson here with Will Yarbrough, our sales manager, and we're going to tap into his knowledge about the upcoming ELD mandate deadline. Will talks to fleet managers every day, so he's quite familiar with this topic and has a lot of information to share. And so we're going to dive into what the ELD mandate might mean for the fleet industry going forward. So first, Will, I just wanted to ask, what's a brief summary of what the ELD mandate says and what fleets have to do by the deadline, December 18th of this year?
Yeah. So the ELD mandate is all about just moving away from paper and logging hours of service in a digital format. So first off, I think it's important to point out that Fleetio, I believe, has a really good blog post about all the details of the ELD mandate and what you need to worry about and make sure to take care of by the deadline, which is December 18th. So the two main folks that need to worry about this are commercial motor vehicle carriers and anyone that is reporting rods. So if you have to report rods as part of the FMCSA requirements, you're subject to this as well. So essentially by the 18th, you need to pick a provider, pick a device, and then make sure that you're following all the requirements, which still does include having certain documentation in the vehicle with the driver at all times.
And I do believe that the FMCSA has put forward some exemptions as well, and we've included that in the blog post. For example, I think for the first few months, your CSA score may not be impacted if you don't have an ELD implemented, but that will go away, so something to pay attention to.
Yeah, and I think it's also important to mention that the whole crux of this is for better reporting and better accuracy, but it's also important to inform your team, your drivers, that they're not subject to any sort of harassment or they're not opening themselves up to additional liability by reporting against the ELD mandate. It's just a better way to shore up and make sure that the data is accurate.
So, Will, how should an organization choose an ELD, and what distinguishes a good one from a bad one?
Yeah, so I think a really good place to start is do a simple Google search or visit the FMCSA website, and they're going to provide you with a list of certified ELD vendors. It's important to point out that these are not vetted or recommended by the FMCSA. They're definitely a neutral party when it comes to this conversation, but they've at least certified that they meet the requirements set out by the FMCSA. So that would be a good place to start.
And I think truckstop.com has put together a list of ELDs which they have vetted to sort of use as another resource for fleet managers to refer to if they do want some recommendations.
Yeah, and I think another good resource would be the Fleetio website. So we have a variety of GPS and telematics partners where they have ELD actually baked into their solution. So that's a good place to start the search as well, and a lot of highly regarded GPS solutions right there on the Fleetio website for you. When it comes to picking the right vendor, I think that the first thing you have to start with is the company itself and making sure that you feel comfortable with not only the product, but the people that you're going to be interacting with on a regular basis. You've got to trust the technology, of course, but you've also got to trust the company and the people that are driving it. So making sure that you have a level of comfort in the people that you're working with along with the product. And then the other thing that I would encourage people to look for is kind of future-proofing their selection. So obviously technology changes very quickly, and we can expect another iteration or evolution of technology in this space. And so just think about where the world is going to be tomorrow, not just today.
What do you hear from customers in your conversations about ELDs?
Yeah, I think a lot. I think there's a lot of questions. There's some initial confusion on why is this happening and what does this actually mean for me? Some of those things that we were addressing earlier around, does this apply to me? Do I need to worry about this? But then, as those questions evolve into more conversation, what we're really hearing is that customers want one solution. They don't want to have to have an ELD solution and an asset management solution and a GPS solution and a fuel solution. They'd like to have everything in one place so that they can find everything in one place. So we're hearing a lot of that centralization of activity and centralization of data. So it's really important to customers that we're talking with. They've got one spot to keep everything and then reference everything in the future.
So how does Fleetio check the box for ELDs?
So Fleetio checks the box and kind of fits into the ELD conversation by being what we've always been, and that's a very agnostic and open software provider that allows us either through integrations with GPS providers or fuel card providers, or through our open API that allows us to integrate with literally anything like an ELD solution or like a CRM or accounting package. We really provide our customers with kind of the ERP solution of old, where you had one vendor that did everything. It's very difficult for one vendor to be truly excellent at all aspects of fleet management or asset management. So what Fleetio allows you to do is kind of pick the best of all of those different focus areas, and then again, kind of centralize all of that information in one spot, being Fleetio, the platform and the database. So we fit into ELD just because we integrate with ELD, and we can provide you a world-class asset management solution and then tie that into your ELD solution.
What's Fleetio's opinion on what ELDs mean for the future of the fleet industry as a whole?
So I think this is really interesting because in my opinion and in a lot of folks here at Fleetio, our opinion is that this is really foreshadowing of what's to come in the fleet industry. You have a very, some might call it an antiquated process with paper around logging hours of service and everything, and this is moving to a completely digital format. So you might guess or you might think that other aspects of asset management or asset compliance will follow suit. So in talking with people around the industry, I don't think anyone expects a fast follow, for example, with vehicle inspections or DOT inspections. I don't think anyone expects a regulation to be passed here in the next couple of months. But I think everyone should be prepared that the world and the fleet industry in general is going to navigate this direction. I do believe, and Fleetio wholeheartedly believes, that this is the future of fleet and the fleet industry.
And I think we see that in other areas too, like autonomous vehicles becoming more part of the conversation and more adoption there. Tesla's electric semi, and even just more solutions that seem to be mobile based and more adaptable.
Sure. I think if you look at the telematics space specifically, you have GPS and telematics solutions that are now pairing their hardware with mobile apps. You've got CarPlay in many of the newer vehicles. Tesla's basically got an iPad on your dash. So I think you're right. There's a lot of other signs that point to the fact that the future of fleet and the future of vehicles is mobile and smart.
Well, thank you, Will, for your time and sharing your wisdom on ELDs and what that means for the industry as a whole. If you have any more questions about the ELD mandate, feel free to shoot them our way at hello@fleetio.com.